is going on? What are you doing?
Good morning. Good morning, Anthony. Hang on, let me just have a few more puffs of this thing.
Oh, you're
Oh,
a glutton for punishment, aren't you?
rain, hail, or shine, mate, or acute severe asthma attack. We are here. Hang on, let me just turn this off. Oh, fuck. Oh shit. How are you, buddy? I've had better
I'm
days.
good. You've had better days.
I've had better
So,
days and better nights. Yeah, acute severe asthma attack in the last few days.
well, that's not
It
good.
hasn't been. It has not been good. I got
Do you
the
want to tell the viewers that you just still decided to train last night, even though you had an acute asthma attack?
Well, I thought I was over it, mate. I thought I was coming good. I got the Washington flu when my kids came back from Washington
Hmm.
last week, and it was at
Right.
the tail end. It was at the tail end of the semi-finals. So
Yeah.
I just absolutely killed myself over the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All your judging efforts too, mate. Really
Pleasure, mate.
appreciate that.
Pleasure, mate. Ran around
um,
with the camera as well. So, did lots of different tasks this time.
fittest on the floor judge, fittest floor,
Yeah.
fittest. I
Running
don't.
around.
Were you floor judge or head judge? I couldn't quite work that out.
I get confused. Like I get confused. Like when I read the thing again, it was like the floor judge must always be in. I'm like, well, which one's the floor judge?
Yeah,
Is it me or is it Joe? So it sounds like the
yeah.
floor judge is not the head judge, but I would say it is the head
Who
judge.
who was
So
responsible for not getting the camera on view the whole time, and then I had to redo a workout because we had no
I think that
backup
was a
camera.
joint
The
responsibility
the
between
the
you, me,
the
and
stop
Joe.
clock, the stopwatch there. So that added to my stress and added to my immunosuppression. Having to redo a workout on the Monday morning, which is the last opportunity to do the workout. The handstand, push up, dumbbell
Hmm.
lunge walk on. I had to redo that on Monday, and I must say
You
when I
went better.
finished that, I
You went
improved my
better.
score. Yeah, yeah, improved my score. Um, but there was obviously a lot of stress involved in that weekend, and I really felt at the end of that workout, and I went straight into clinic. I just felt literally there was a weight of the world off my shoulders,
Mm.
and it just shows when you have that sort of feeling that how much stress you put yourself under for the 4 days,
Yeah, and what's
which is
also
great, which is great.
interesting is you get sick. Is like people get sick.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
And then the
after
kids
that
came home.
exam or whatever, that
Mm,
craziness, you've dealt
totally.
with
It's
this
like,
big stress, and then the body goes, ha, and then you go like, bang, I'm
yeah.
sick.
And it's the
So,
first, yeah, like the first few days of holidays when all the stress of work goes, and then the cortisol levels drop, and then boom, you get sick. Anyway, and then that just got worse and worse, and then I took a few days off work and off training, and then thought I better get back into it because I've had
a
4 days
few
off
days
training.
of training. You didn't take
Last
a few
night,
days off training.
bar muscle ups, double unders, rowing. Oh my god. It was a great workout, a workout that I loved, and I just went hard at it, and just excited to be back. And then I got home and could hardly freaking breathe, and I'm lying in bed last night thinking, "Shit, podcast tomorrow, 6 a.m. Got to get up." So I had to sort of wake up in the middle of the night and get onto the old lifesaver.
Darth Vader.
Uh,
You look like Darth
yeah,
Vader.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm
But
dressed in black.
yeah.
You're dressed in black. Yeah. So,
Well,
but who we got on today,
yeah,
Dave?
yeah, 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 yeah. Well, we'll I don't know.
It's
I
pretty
think
exciting. This guy, I think is really coming up with some really interesting
yeah.
concepts, ideas. Is
Tell us
he seems to be
how did you
blowing up
find him? Because
on Instagram.
you identified him through the social media. And
Yeah, he just came up on one of
what?
my feeds because you know how we always talk about like what we think CrossFit should do and what the
Mm-hmm,
solutions
mm-hmm,
are. Well, this guy like
mm-hmm.
posts every
Yeah,
pretty much day or 2 days about it, and it's really interesting. Some of his stuff. He's an affiliate
yeah.
owner,
Well,
so he's been coaching for 25 years.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
think
I'd
he's going to
say
be a really great guy to talk to.
I'd say people in
So,
Australia may not have heard much about him. So put on your seatbelts and let's bring him on, eh?
yep, and he's going to blow up even more.
Yeah.
Hey, Drew, how you
Good
going, mate?
good
I'm doing well.
morning,
How are you guys doing?
Mr. Girton. We're doing awesome. Other
So,
than not being able to breathe properly. So excuse my really razor bladey, husky throat, and I might have to mute myself every now and then if I have a big cough attack.
yeah. So
I haven't seen one of those in a very long time. I grew up with asthma, and
Oh, really?
yeah, so
Uh,
I know what
you
that
know
whole
what they
thing.
are?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So
They're a lifesaver. They're a lifesaver. Like you got these options, these little ones.
hmm
Um, just not the same. You don't get the same delivery of the medication deep in the lungs, which is where you want it. It mostly goes into your oral cavity, and you need it down in the alveoli of the lungs and the bronchioles.
it's hard to teach.
Uh, yeah. It's hard to teach the coordination of pushing the button, which is
Mm.
great. Mm.
So what, you suffer from asthma too, do you, Drew? Or you used, or you don't anymore?
Or your kids, or
I do. My kids don't, but I always chalk it up as the reason why I'm such a subpar CrossFitter. Um, and that's I'm a average, or as the kids say here in America, mid. I'm a mid-level CrossFitter, so I'm not very good at it. I can do everything, and
yep.
I make it look pretty. I just don't like to hurt. So
Or
Y-
do you get wheezy, or do you just get short of breath? Because that's the distinction. Fitness versus or unfitness versus bronchoconstriction. You should be able to define the two. And if you have bronchoconstriction, your results can be improved by preventing the bronchoconstriction. And
um,
wheeziness is a feature of that.
yeah, so the wheeziness comes when I am less fit.
Hmm.
Yep. So when I'm focusing more on my conditioning work, then uh, that can be improved. But since I moved from Michigan to California like 20 plus years ago now, that has radically changed because it was also brought on by a lot of like ragweed and just allergies in Michigan versus
Yeah.
California. So that impacted my asthma a lot more.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
improved when you move to Cali. Try something called Seretide, if you can get it from your chemist. Seretide once a day.
Hmm.
Once a day. This is not medical advice, people. Not medical advice. Consult your doctor. but but yeah, Seretide once a day, and your performance will probably go up a little bit.
So I'm not going to get popped at the quarterfinals next year.
No,
Did you get
you
to the
won't get popped.
quarterfinals, Drew?
Heck no, I'm not that fit. I
You
mean,
must have been close. You must have
eh,
been close.
so I'm very strong.
Mhm.
But like I said, like I don't like to hurt. Like I literally in the first open workout, I turned to my judge, and I got to, man, the 40, and I was like, and I turned to her and I said, I don't want to hurt that bad. I'm gonna slow this down. And she's like, okay. And like that's I just didn't want to go into that pain cave. Like getting to that next level didn't mean that so much to me because for the record, my previous year was where I had put a lot of my emphasis and efforts into a overall well-rounded approach to my fitness. And so like I went to Worlds for weightlifting. I did a high rocks race like 1 week after doing Worlds for weightlifting. I took third in the world for my weight class and age. And so like that's where I put my emphasis, my effort and emphasis in last year. And so I just didn't have enough time to build my base back up for CrossFit. And it was more important for me to just work on that overall. And um, but still completed everything. I had one good open workout, which was the second one because that had more, higher skill, if you will. And I do really well with the higher skill stuff. The engine metcon stuff is not what I'm good at. So like
Which
people who want to grind it out,
remind us which
it
one was
had
that one? Was that
it
the
had the muscle
wall
ups.
ball?
That
Oh,
was
yep.
was
The
that
ring muscle ups at the end. Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
was that the
So
muscle, was that the walking lunge? The second one?
yes, yeah, which is not a problem for me at all.
Mhm.
So like I have really strong shoulders, and so that's why that workout, I did well in, but it's
Awesome.
okay. Yeah.
So
All
how
right.
far were
Well,
you from qualifying? It doesn't seem like you were that far. It seems like you might have been in the top 70 or the top
Yeah, I
30%
was
or
about
something.
what 5% out, give or take. but
Oh, gee, that's pretty close, Drew.
I
You're being
mean,
too harsh on yourself. You almost made it.
it's okay.
So,
Like I if I would have had more time to work on CrossFit specific things, then I could have made it. But um, yeah, it's
That's okay.
CrossFit as an athlete is always has taken a backseat since 2016 for me. So I found that I'm better.
Dave Castro didn't make it either, so it's okay.
Look, I'll be completely honest with you. Dave Castro has beaten me sometimes in the open, and I've been really embarrassed about that. So I'm like,
Really.
oh, that's a shame.
Sometimes I
so tell us
wonder.
about
Yeah,
tell us about your journey in CrossFit,
yeah.
Drew. Like, how did it start? Like, how did you get into CrossFit?
Yeah, I was a Division I strength and conditioning coach. I've been a coach in general for 25 years. I started off as a personal trainer, and then I became a Division I strength and conditioning coach. So I worked for Western Michigan University for 2 years with their football and hockey team. I ended up putting 5 guys in the NFL. So that's the National Football League in America. And then from there, I came out to grad school and got a master's degree in theology, so completely unrelated field.
Oh, wow.
And then from there, I started working for a big Globo gym out here, a big box gym, and quickly moved up into their management ranks for being, in fitness. And I'd only been a trainer with them for like 10 months before that I got called up to the management seats, and those things ended up working out really well for me. And then from there, I was in management for Globo gyms for years. I mean, all the way until 2014. So that started from 2008 to 2014 is when we opened our affiliate. But I got into CrossFit in 2009 when when 24 Hour Fitness, the big box gym, gave all managers personal training, free personal training. It was 10 personal training sessions. And so I'd heard about CrossFit and was like, let me see if any of our trainers in the company have certifications through CrossFit. And I found one, and he lived near me. And so I started training with him. And I will never forget, my first workout was supposed to be double unders. He tried to teach me double unders, which didn't go very well, and kettlebell swings. Man, that sucked. And I was like, this is absolutely miserable. And it was like, there was no breaks, right? It was like, back to it, back to it, back to it. And then he started giving me workouts to do at the Globo gym. And one of those first prescribed workouts was Fran. And that took me forever to figure out how to do that by myself, in a big box gym. So that was really fun. And then the second session I came back to him, he taught me handstand push-ups. And I fell in love because I was very good at those for some odd reason. I never was afraid of kicking upside down and was able to figure that out where some people can't. I am elite at strict handstand push-ups.
Cool.
So like I can rattle off like 30 unbroken
Wow.
and be fine. So
That's
I'm
great.
not at
And Hiller wouldn't no rep
Colton,
you? You wouldn't get no reps for those 30?
I would dare him. I would race him. How about that? You can put that on Flow Elite so they can make money.
Let's see any videos of you doing handstand push-ups here. We can't see any.
There's none. You want to know why?
I'll
tell you why there are none. Is because what I found is that as far as content is concerned, nobody wants to watch me work out.
No.
And I literally tested that over Sunday. That's my son.
I did see this one. I saw you on the air runner with your son there, so that was pretty cool seeing you work out. I reckon if you're elite at doing handstand push-ups, we want to see you do 30 unbroken on there. Your next post. Somehow tie that in.
You know what? What we'll do is I'll clip out what I said from this podcast, and then I'll use that there.
Awesome.
There we go.
That's really cool.
That would be cool.
So when you said you managed big box gyms, it's not a common term that we use here in Australia. What do you mean by you managed big box gyms? What does that sort of work look like?
So, big box gyms are like a Globo gym. I don't know if you guys know that term either.
We know that
Yeah,
one.
Globo
Yep.
gym.
Yep.
Lots
So
of
it's just
machines.
your,
Lots of machines.
yes, machines and functional. When I was managing them, um, there weren't functional fitness areas. It was just machines and small functional fitness areas, very, very small. No, there was still probably only like 2 squat racks at a time. And when I was managing them, and lots of, treadmills and ellipticals and
Smith
two,
machines. So their squat racks would be Smith machines on the rails.
only one Smith machine. Most of like
Okay.
we would have like one Smith machine, 2 squat racks, a combo rack that was similar but had like some safety rails built in. But lots of benches, incline benches, things like that. But yeah, no squat racks,
So
no.
you're saying squatting was not a big thing in the big box Globo gyms? Squatting.
No, not then at all.
Yeah. Well, I noticed that squatting wasn't brought out in the recent presidential fitness test. They just published the presidential fitness test for America, for what students should be able to do, and they gave some benchmarks for like teenagers and right up to the age of 18, I think. And this is the presidential standard, and they don't have a
Yeah,
single squat.
they have
You can
they have
look
a
that up.
standard problem there.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Not
It's terrible.
one rep was to depth. So
Yeah.
it made it made the rounds here in America.
Yeah, right.
Yes. Yes. It was
Okay,
not great.
so you manage the big box gym, basically just increasing the profit margins of the gym. Is that kind of what your job was?
Yeah, my job was some of them were personal training related, so I would manage the personal trainers. And one of the things that I was very good at was coming into poor performing clubs and making them better. So they would be really, really poor in like revenue on the personal training side. And so I would have to like redevelop these teams and give them the ability to be successful, profitable. And I was very good at it. It just happened to be one of my strengths is to rebuild things. And now that's kind of how I see my efforts with social media for CrossFit, is trying to help rebrand and get that image turned around so that people would start doing it again. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. There's a lot of crossover there. But yeah, I would. One of my biggest gyms was it was a brand new gym. So I met my wife on the workout floor, and took that from 0 to 50,000 in like a year. So we had no revenue at all, and we built that personal training staff from 0 to 50K, and that was my big win there. Was that like, and that was something that we would do like $50,000 in just personal training revenue, month over month. And then I wanted to be closer to home, so they relocated me, and I took a gym from 9,000 existing base and revenue for personal training to over 40,000 in just a handful of months. And so that, these were some of the things that I was really good at, and they just kept moving me up the ladder for the company, and until the point where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I
So
was trying to.
did you achieve this from like a marketing perspective, or did you kind of just shake up the whole kind of perspectives of how it was done? And were you using kind of CrossFit methodology in the context of that?
Yeah, so that's a great thing. Is so I had used my strength and conditioning principles that I learned at the collegiate level to teach my staff and different things. And so I had, weekly meetings with my staff. And so I was constantly developing them and helping them grow, and not just their training abilities, but also in their sales abilities. And so, because that's the number one driver for, Globo gyms, is to make sure that they make money. So we ended up doing that and teaching them how to do those things. But when I started really getting into CrossFit, then I started molding the training methodology for my coaches, but they had no clue that I was teaching them CrossFit. And so because I didn't want to tell them. And so I've always had like this, teach and show and tell, but never say what the real thing is, because I don't want people to have any type of weird aversion towards it.
So you were educating your coaching staff at the Globo gyms
mhm.
with a CrossFit methodology, but you're kind of keeping that secret from them. because you felt that there was already at that early stage, like in the early 2000, what this would be around 2015 or something, would it? Or
So it was, we're talking like 2011 and 12, because I also was responsible for teaching. So I would lecture at some universities as well from time to time. So as a guest lecturer, and then I would also teach other managers Olympic weightlifting. And so like they would bring me in and they would have me teach like the entire district, like stuff that is coming up in fitness. And so like teaching a bunch of fitness managers who all do bodybuilding and how to snatch or how to clean was really fun, you know? And so that was, I was the guy that would teach people that stuff because I was really into it. But I didn't want, I didn't want to get in trouble because it was so corporate that I didn't want them to be like, this is CrossFit. Like this is a whole nother brand. This is like, you know, and I just didn't want it to blow up anything of that I was falling in love with and that they were going to have a problem with on the corporate side, which I later ended up coming to them in 2013 and said, hey, this thing is blowing up. You guys could, and I went to our vice presidents and said, you guys could squash this little bug if you adapted now and provided, I'm sorry, it was 2012. If you provided functional training spaces, you put up more squat racks, a pull-up rig, other things that would allow for people, because people are doing it. And if you start offering personal training or a semi-private, I called for semi-privates back then, that you would, or small groups, that you could have more success and you would crush this rising fitness trend. And they were like, no, it's okay. And then it just blew up, you know, and it's ultimately why I left and opened up my own affiliate. And so we opened in February of 2014.
Okay. 2014.
I couldn't shake it. I was like, I have to do this thing. And
this is Pendulum, CrossFit Pendulum, or what did you call yourselves?
So when we first opened, it was called CrossFit Pendulum. That's the C and the P in the logo. And so that was by design. And back in 2019, we rebranded to Pendulum Fitness because I saw the downward trend of what was happening. And I said, you know what?
2019, did you say?
Yeah. 2019. I saw the decline happening. And I said, you know what? If this goes away, I don't want to lose everything that I've worked for. We just celebrated 5 years at that point. I'm gonna rebrand and I'm gonna get out in front of this. And
so did you have both running at the same time? Did you maintain CrossFit Pendulum as well as Pendulum Fitness? They were sort of parallel.
Yep, it's the same. You know, it's just like it's a forward-facing brand, right? But like the methodology and everything that we teach is still CrossFit.
Yep.
And so
did you de-affiliate in 2019 or?
No, we de-affiliated in June of 2020, a day before the tweet went out. How about that for timing?
Did you know something, Drew?
I didn't know. Man, that would be a funny take. But I didn't know. There was some emails that were getting leaked between an affiliate owner in Seattle and Greg Glassman, and they were getting posted up on a blog site. And I was reading this, and I was like, my wife and I were having conversations about things, and we just at the time weren't seeing a whole lot of value returning from CrossFit, and so we had already been taking out the name already. So we were like, you know what if we changed? So we did, for multiple reasons, and that video is still on the internet on YouTube, but we elected to de-affiliate, and then that tweet went out and we're like, oh crap, we really dodged the ball on that.
Yeah. How did your members think about that? Like, because obviously I mean, you would have had some passionate CrossFitters in your gym and that sort of thing. Like when you started to de-affiliate, what was their perspective on things? Did they stay?
Yeah, they did. Because at the time, like this is during COVID, and
Yeah.
so there was so much like there was never a larger time in history for keyboard warriors than 2020. And so just telling people why we were doing what we were doing, and for those reasons why, as long as you have a vision and you're the leader of your gym and people are like understand why you're doing that, they'll follow you, especially if they trust you. And that's what happened. We didn't lose anybody during that transition at all. The only time that they were, and there was a small group of them, I want to say 10, 15 people that they're like, hey, so we're doing the open, right? I said, no. What do you mean? I said, we're not a CrossFit affiliate anymore. You don't get to do that. And I feel very passionately about that. I don't think that gyms that de-affiliate from CrossFit should get to do the open. Like, and CrossFit has made it easy for people to submit a video from a gym and have an online, quality check. But I think that's completely wrong. And I think that shouldn't happen. You should be a part of a CrossFit affiliate, or you go and you visit that CrossFit affiliate. You pay to be there during the open, and that's how it should be. I've come up with some workarounds for that, in my content. But the important part is like, if you're gonna have the open, it should only be for CrossFit affiliates. And ever since Greg left, there's not any protection for the brand anymore.
Well, in the last 2 years, every single score submission had to be performed, in a affiliate, a registered affiliate. And so I think I would agree with you that, yeah, if you de-affiliate, your members can either sort of say, well, I want to be a part of an affiliate and I want to do the open. And if you're not running it, they have to sort of work out how they're going to participate in the open legitimately.
Yeah.
What were the main things that you said? You said you de-affiliated, and obviously before the post, before the tweet. What I think even before the tweet, there was a lot of "I'm out" black squares being put out by athletes. That came before the tweet, I think. Why did you? What was the main thing that made you de-affiliate? When you say I wasn't getting much back from CrossFit, like what do you mean by that?
Yeah, when they canceled, so the black squares actually came out after the tweet.
Was it after the tweet?
Yeah, it was after the tweet. So we did it because the media team was like, this isn't the main reason why we quit, but the media team was all fired. They're all let go.
Right.
And so that there was nothing out there pushing the brand as like, hey, this is the best possible methodology, the best possible fitness thing that you could do for your life, for your family, for your, for your health. And it was gone. And it was gone in a second, it felt like, and I understand why the revenue and some of the things that all the perspective and the attention was put on the games athletes, but there was other ways of doing it, and I just don't think that it was done the right way.
Why were the media team fired? What's the story behind firing the media team? That seems a bit weird.
So the main, I don't have all the answers on that, and I will be quick to say that because there have been some media team employees or former employees that have come onto my content and said, well, I was there and it was like this. So there was waves of people that were terminated. And so 2018 was the first wave of termination. 2019 was the second. And then Savan, I believe, was the last one let go in 2020.
And that was after Glassman. So that was Eric Rosa. He testifies that Eric Rosa fired him.
That part, like, I don't have all of the timeline of all the people. So that if that's what he says is true, then he was, then that obviously is true. I'm
I think
only
Greg got rid of a whole heap that he thought was just like excessive redundant people. And then Eric Rosa came on board and fired people who were kind of like in the Greg camp. I don't know for sure, but that's sort of the impression that I get when I hear Savan talking. That there was some factions within the HQ, CrossFit HQ, and Eric kind of got even Castro. Like, didn't Eric sort of
yeah,
ask
he
Castro
did.
to leave? Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So that was like there was these factions, and so there was another wave of people after Eric came on board that then got let go as well. But I can see why you'd be saying, hey, if this media, because sometimes CrossFit's regarded as a media company,
Hmm.
and if they're getting rid of the media team, and the media is what creates uh, prosperity for my business as a CrossFit affiliate, then I don't see a need to be affiliated.
Yep. And that was one of the main things that, my wife she has other takes on some of this stuff as well. And that's that. But like as I've peeled back the onions of things, as I've posted content, it's been way more about, hey, we need to pay attention to what CrossFit is doing for us or not doing for us. And it just comes down to, and that's like been the number one gripe for affiliate owners is I don't get any marketing anymore. What am I paying for? What's this affiliation paying for if they're not marketing for me? Why do I have the name? And I can tell you from the other side of that is that when you remove the name and you don't say that you're a CrossFit gym anymore, when people come in and they see the rig, they see the layout, they see everything, they see the way that the program is functioning, they go, well, isn't this CrossFit? And then you go, no, it's functional fitness. It's like, it's so much easier to just say, yes, we are a CrossFit gym. And me being the person that I am and the values and the morals that I have, we just didn't want to say that we weren't going to lie for the sake of lying. It's just our values, our ethics, and just saying like, no, we de-affiliated. It's like CrossFit, but we do this now. But I didn't want to say, yes, we were. And so we had de-affiliated. We came back in February of 22.
Okay.
And so,
and that's interesting because like I mean I've seen a lot of your posts because you did come across on my on my Instagram feed, and one of the things that I was really excited to hear was the fact that you made the contact that it was stop blaming headquarters, stop blaming everybody else, but come back to the affiliate, and that's how we grow. So talk about tell me about or tell us about like why did you come back? Did you get that sudden realization that it was more your responsibility than putting it in the hands of somebody else?
it came down to the fact that we were trying to decide how we wanted to market message, like communicate this message to people. It's so much easier to just tell people, yes, we're a CrossFit gym. And to walk that out and show people on how that's done is very important. And it's more important to have a clear message than it is to dance around something. There used to be 14 gyms in Pasadena, and Pasadena has like less than 200,000, so like 150,000 people. And that was 14 was the most per capita in the world for the size, for the size of our town for affiliates worldwide at that time. And now we're the only ones left as CrossFit affiliates. So it's really important that people learn on how to communicate that message. What does CrossFit do? And I don't know, honestly, to this day, if having the name CrossFit in your name helps you do that. I don't, I don't know right now. because I've been able to prove over the last 4 years that we didn't have it in the name, and we've done over $1 million a year multiple times without having the name.
Yeah.
Would that be? I suppose there's a bias that you've already established yourself as a facility for quite a few years under the banner of CrossFit, and then you're de-affiliated, versus a new gym owner coming first time on the block, open his doors. No one's heard of Pendulum Fitness as not being a CrossFit box. So it may be harder. I have heard Castro talking about that for a new gym, because I think he's been asked the question exactly that, like, what value do I get as a CrossFit box? And it was kind of like framed in that light that if you are a new gym, you're probably going to not have as much persuasion to newcomers, versus if you step on the floor and you're a CrossFit affiliate, you've got a little bit of branding behind you.
For sure.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I would. And that is actually why we started as a CrossFit affiliate in 2014. Yes, we loved it. But we also knew at a certain point that we wanted other things underneath the umbrella. And, our business name is called Designer Fit. And we wanted to be able to design people's fitness. And CrossFit was an easy, thing at that time to say, let's put on the CrossFit hat, let people find us. And it did allow for a lot of attraction to come to us just by being an affiliate. Now, when that started to drift and the narrative started to change, that's when my wife and I were like, okay, let's switch this to Pendulum Fitness. We didn't know that it was going to be Pendulum Fitness, but it was a conversation that we had back and forth. But to your point, Dave, like that's the easy thing to do for a brand new affiliate, is just to have something to attach their identity to, whether that's a 45 or now these new gyms that are based from your guys' country is the Yard. They're blowing up here now, which is basically just CrossFit. So, we made the switch because we did have brand equity at that time. But the truth is that from an SEO perspective, we got hammered. Like, we were on page 1 on Google, and as soon as we switched to Pendulum Fitness, we were on page 2. So we lost quite a bit just by changing the name, even though we were still affiliated. So that was we had to reestablish the brand over years. And I do a lot of marketing. I mean, a lot. So from Facebook and Instagram ads to I'll play with Google as well, and different things locally. But yeah, it's a lot of work to try and grow a brand.
It would be like starting up a coffee shop and saying, I don't want to use the word coffee. I'm gonna call my coffee shop Caffeinated Beverages. But I'm you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be harder to pick up the momentum of customers, because they just want to go to a coffee shop because they just know that coffee means coffee. And if you start off as, like, not Pendulum Fitness for the first time, and I'm going to call myself Caffeinated Beverages, like, you're not going to get any customers, and you won't be on the top of the Google searches, because Google doesn't look for people who want caffeinated beverages. They want people who want coffee.
Yeah.
So did you come back because of loyalty then in 2022, or did you think that there was a turning of the steering of the ship in a better direction?
So, great question. We liked the way that CrossFit was changing up their image, and the people, like, and saying, hey, you know what, it was moving in the right direction. And they had just actually brought Don on. And I was like, awesome. Like, there was a lot of hope, built into that. We decided to come back, though, largely because it just made it so much easier to communicate what we were, because it was so hard to be like, No, we're not this. And it was just, let's keep the messaging clear. So when somebody walks in, yes, we do CrossFit.
Mm.
Even though if you go to my website now, it's still buried, and on purpose, because there are people in my gym now that tell me weekly that if they would have known that this was a CrossFit gym, they would have never joined.
Right.
People tell me that weekly.
And
So
what's their
it's
reason for that, Drew? Is what when do you dig a little bit deeper as to why? Because it's still the same
because
people, it's still the same methodology. Like, what is it that's so abhorrent to the brand?
they didn't like what CrossFit stood for. They thought that it wasn't for them. It's all the stories that people tell you. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It's,
Yeah, yeah,
it's just none of it has any real substance. But, if all you hear is negative press, that's all you're going to believe. And if it's,
yeah,
that's why, like, a lot of my messaging, I'm trying to find different ways to communicate what the greatness of this methodology is. Like, how can we get people to believe that this is the best possible thing to fight chronic disease?
yeah.
Like, that's a marketing and messaging issue.
Mm, mm. And so do you think it's coming back now? Like, I mean, you're obviously in the space, and I saw how, like, I guess in the beginning of this year you seem to take a change of tact, and you really kind of um, drilled down into this kind of messaging and what you thought CrossFit could actually be and what it could do, and you've got lots of different ideas. So what was it that sparked that?
Yeah, in January, I knew that I wanted to create content. I knew that I was seeing what was happening with the world, and I go, oh, things move in patterns and things are cyclical. And that made me really nervous for the future of, my brand and locally. And I didn't want to, continue to work with that. And so I just was like, let me focus on my own content, start to build that up. And I tried some different things. I hired some different marketing agencies to figure that out. And then I started, one was paid ads, that didn't work out. And then I moved over to organic, and I had somebody teach me on how to do this stuff. And it has been life changing. And I stumbled upon this because I was like, I don't want to talk about CrossFit. I don't want to talk about CrossFit. I know how to talk about CrossFit very, very well. God, doggone it. Like, here it is. It's taking off. All right, if I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to talk about the things that I believe in and
Mm.
not be only talking about the CrossFit Games. Now, the CrossFit Games does come up in some of the stuff that I talk about because nobody, if I had it my way, I would separate it, but it's still attached. So
So
until
so
it's
talk us about that idea. How would you separate it? What was the
so my idea, and what's really cool about this whole entire thing is you never really know who's watching. And so when the new CEO slides into my DMs and says, hey, I really like I like your content a lot, like, it's really good, would you like to have a chat? And I'm like, no. Like, who? Bruce, that's
Oh
him
yeah.
right there, and I'm like, I don't know who he is. He just was some guy in my DMs. I had no, and this is before the announcement came out. And so I was like, sure, what would you like to talk about? A couple days go by, and then I made the announcement. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the original one. So the CrossFit finally made a move, and then he responds to me in my DM. He goes, "Well, I think you know what I want to talk to you about now." And I was like, "Oh my word!" Like, and then I ran out. My wife is in the sauna. I ran out, and she's like, "What?" I said, "Oh, the new CEO just sent me a message." And
Should
um,
should I play this? Should I play this and see what
sure.
plays? Let's have a look. There's no
got to
volume.
share sound, Dave?
Where's sound? Hang on. audio.
So we're not as professional as you, Drew, in our content creation.
It's
Oh
okay.
no, I think it's the actual
You got
this
to
thing here.
share it with the
Ever
sound, remember?
seen. And then he did something
Yeah.
that most HQ executives never did. He opened his own affiliate. He coached the early morning classes. He cleaned the floors. He made payroll. And that resume buys him something. Now, I'm not here to crown him. He hasn't promised anything yet. No fee rollbacks, no grand plan, just a letter and a start date. But here's what I know about leadership. Direction matters before details. And for the first time in years, it feels like someone is actually at the wheel who's been in the passenger seat, the back seat, and driven the car themselves. Here's what I need you to hear, though. And this part, most people skip. The success of your own gym was never coming from HQ. It has always been and always will be on you, your coaching, your culture, your community. A great CEO can rebuild the brand. He cannot rebuild your gym for you. So give Bruce some patience. Give him some grace. Give him time to put his stamp on something worth saving. But while you're waiting on HQ to figure it out, don't stop building, because the affiliates that are winning right now, they didn't wait. CrossFit just got a new CEO. And you know, I've been.
Yeah, look, that's sort of logical to me. Is that we're part of CrossFit, but we're a private business. So everything that you get out of your business is sort of reflected by what you put into it. You don't open a CrossFit box and then just expect CrossFit HQ to make it successful.
You would be surprised on how many affiliate owners. How long have you guys been an affiliate now?
We're probably 6 or 7 years.
Okay. So are you inside of any of the cesspools known as the affiliate message boards?
No.
That's why. So no. You guys are saving yourselves time, effort, and
angst,
the possibility of going insane.
We just run a business like we do any other venture or business that we have created. It's hard work and passion, and thankfully CrossFit gives so much back to us. So it makes it a joy.
That is the power that you guys have, because you're not hanging out in a cesspool. And I'm not saying that I hang out in a cesspool, but I've been around it for so long that I hear grumblings, and I hear, these gym owners that it's almost that they have thought that they would open up this affiliate and it would make money, and that it would be the answers to all their financial problems. But that's just the problem with fitness. Like, fitness is very hard. Like, you have to work. You have to know how to train people. You have to know how to coach. And it's not, and because fitness is not something that it's not a physical product. You can't hold on to it. You have to help people visualize what they're trying to work towards, and then develop a plan, and then move it out. That's all it is. So I've been in because I've been in fitness for so long, I understand these things, and I understand on how to build a program and to help people get results and to do those things. It's no different than trying to communicate that vision for the masses and to try and get people to go, hey, all right, this is where we got to go. And I don't know what that looks like for me in my future, but all I'm wanting to do is to provide hope for those that are in the CrossFit community that thinks that everything is falling, and that, because from a number standpoint, like it's down to 8,000, like less than 9,000 affiliates now worldwide, where it used to be at 15,000 or 14,000 at its peak. So, and people all have their different reasons of why that happened, but a lot of it is because some of these gyms came in because they just loved CrossFit. They got into it for a hobby. They didn't want to put in the work. They didn't want to, grow it into a real business. And then they were faced with a very hard decision to make, that do I want to stick with this and double down on my efforts, or do I quit? And so I think that's part of the decline.
Do you think that you said 15,000 affiliates, sort of a rough figure at the peak? Do you think there's probably more gyms now that are still doing CrossFit, but only 8,000 affiliates? I would guess that there are just as many CrossFit, but just not affiliated.
I think that it is morphed into other things, right? Because I think if you include, and what's funny is that the post that kind of like jump started me for everything was this. I called it CrossFit in the Church, or CrossFit has denominations, and that one I think is like what has happened to CrossFit, is that like the Christian church, it has fractured and split into different denominations, and that's what has happened with CrossFit. You have F45, you have High Rocks, you have the Yard, you have functional fitness gyms, you have all of the competitive tracks. They're all essentially branches of CrossFit, but they're not waving the flag and the banner.
I suppose that's probably an evolution thing, when the brand starts out in the early 2000s and grows, and it sort of peaks as people do CrossFit, and then with time, as people in the physical fitness industry kind of go, well, I know about CrossFit now, I've done my level 1 or whatever it is, I can now save myself $5, or then you had the price hike, I can save myself $6,000, 6,000 Australian dollars a year, and still do CrossFit. It's probably an evolution, a natural evolution, that the numbers would drop, and then you get some dilution effect with we'll be a High Rocks gym, or we'll be a F45, or that type of stuff. It's probably a natural process, unless there is another stimulus that says, okay, we're going to drive actual affiliates up again by you get this, and that probably hasn't really, that sort of stimulus hasn't probably arrived yet, and is Bruce going to be able to help in that regard? I don't know.
That's what's great is that Dave, you haven't consumed my content. So this is exactly some of the stuff that I'm talking about. So it's really great that you're landing on this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Is that the conversation that I had with Bruce was about with affiliates, the value hasn't been there for the price increase. And that was something that a lot of people have talked about, that like, why raise the price? Like, and I said, well, I see it from one side that like, if your company is hurting to keep it going, you're going to have to raise prices somewhere. This ends up being an important thing to do. And I get that. And he goes, yeah, but there was no value attached to it.
Sure. Yeah.
And I said,
that's what
fair
was
enough.
difficult for me. Yeah. I couldn't understand that. I said, oh, what's changed? Like, why is the price going up? And obviously it's just they were trying to improve the accounting, the ledgers. That's one way to improve the bottom line on the ledger, is to sort of make more profit. And that, I think, was relating to, yes, we want to sell this thing, and so the books have to look better.
So I had a conversation last year in January. There was fires in my community. So the fires in California, and that was in my town, Pasadena. Like, there's a town called Altadena just above us, where 20 of my members lost their homes. Okay. And I had reached out to CrossFit and asked for help. And I received a phone call from head of affiliates, and I asked some questions, and I said, can you guys help? And they said, we can't at this time. I said, well, the only reason why I think that you guys can't help in some capacity, or if we can start some kind of fundraiser or whatever, is you guys are looking to sell. And he goes, I cannot comment on that. About a month later, it comes out, or 2 months later, it comes out that they were looking to sell, and it failed, right? That sale failed. And that's, and I think that's why Don probably ultimately ended up leaving. It was because it didn't work out. And so so his job there was done. I don't know that for sure, but that's at least me putting 2 and 2 together. But my idea for affiliates, in order to be able to have some kind of value, is that you have a certification that you can get that would, or like you earn back a cheaper cost. You put more into like your development as an owner, so that maybe you take a marketing program through CrossFit, and that if you do so many of these things throughout the year, you earn credits to lower your cost. Because then ultimately you're talking about the longevity, the length of time as an affiliate versus just a run of the mill, that you're investing into the company, you're investing into the affiliation to keep going. And that was something that was brought to my attention by my friend Dusty Highland. He's a games athlete himself, and also a former games athlete coach. And he was like, we should have like something that they can earn this money back. And I was like, that's a really cool concept. And so I came up with, like, if we had marketing, nutrition, sales, and then or if you get like an L3 or an L4, you have you don't have to pay as much that following year. And as long as you're doing those things, you have the ability to only pay $3,000 rather than $3,000 rather than the amount that you're paying that year.
So you're still overall paying probably similar amount of money, but now you're getting the value, and you're also being more invested in the brand and building the whole concept. So you're becoming more entrenched into the whole thing. So it's more difficult to kind of leave as well, because you're getting tied up into it. So yeah,
you become stickier.
Yeah, you become sticky. I like that. So what about this concept, what we're seeing on the screen, this whole CrossFit? I was reading about this and I thought to myself, do I really want to go to a stadium or convention center and work out in front of 10,000 people? I'm not sure I want to do that. So tell us this idea.
It was Mother's Day here. Do you guys celebrate Mother's Day in the same day as we do?
I think it's May we celebrate, early May.
Yep.
So it's like a week and 2 weeks
10th.
ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm sitting outside with my wife and my mother-in-law in a chair, and they're talking, and I'm just daydreaming, and I have this idea, and I was like, oh my goodness, I think I just solved the CrossFit Open problem. What this idea is that you look at high rocks and how many people are doing high rocks. People pay on average, anywhere between $180 to $200+ a month. I'm sorry, not a month, but for one event. Or CrossFit, the Open is $20. There are more people that have registered and done a high rocks worldwide than there were people that did CrossFit's Open, the CrossFit Open. Some people don't really want to do the Open. They don't think it's fun. They don't want to do it in their box. There's nothing to train for. There's nothing to, but guess what? I have people that will go and do a high rocks and not do an Open workout because they want the event. They want to go and train at the event or, compete at the event, which I find very interesting. So the other thing that High Rocks has done very, very well is they don't have to worry about media, because when you pay for these races, you can add on for $35 or whatever, $40 for somebody to run around and take pictures of you. And then they send you the pictures and you upload them and you spread the gospel of High Rocks that I did one. How cool am I? Like, It's such a cool thing, you know? And then that does the marketing for you. And that's like, and people now are paying that over and over and doing that multiple times throughout the year. And if they didn't like their score or their time, I want to go, when's the next one that I can go and do another one? So some of these people are paying upwards of over $500, $600, $800 a year just to do a race. Okay, well, why not us? Why don't we do that? And there are people that may not go and do the open in person like this, but they would go and support all their teammates, you know, their box mates to be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go out and support all of our people. Everybody, we got 15 people going. We're all going to go. It's going to be spread throughout the day on that Saturday or that Friday or whatever it is. Let's go out and cheer on our people. I don't know if you guys ever got to experience regionals at its peak, but my goodness, it was so cool.
That was good. Yeah, loved it.
It was so special. And so like you have that moment. And I've had people in the comments say, oh, it should be like only for regionals. And I'm like, well, then there's got to be something that is for the community. And even if it's something that you can choose to do the open in your box, and because I read the comments and all the different things that people say to me about it. But if we were to have the open in person, or you can do it in the gym, then our open is at a convention center, or you do it at your box. You have the option to choose. One's obviously going to cost more money, but you have the opportunity to go and compete. I think if we had both of those things, then it could work. But that's just me placating to two sides. But I think that this would be really awesome because it would handle so much heavy lifting for us. And you could have the open in a 3-month cycle, and that it would have to be released in a matter of all at once so that people know exactly what they're getting and what they're going to compete for. And you could have people done in an hour and a half and, you know, set up in like blocks of time. Like, so, you know, block from 0 to, 15, you've got a 15-minute AMRAP. You've got at the 30-minute mark, now you're going to try and take 10 minutes to find a heavy blank. And then at the 105 mark, you've got a 10-minute test on the erg or whatever it is.
So would it be still unknowing, Drew? Like, would you
No.
not know the workout until you got there, or you would know the workout?
You would know. You would have to know in advance. And here's the truth on my side. Maybe I shouldn't say truth. Here's my opinion, is that I believe that the unknown and unknowable is hurting the future of CrossFit, because everybody knows what they're getting into with High Rocks, and they want to know what they're getting into, and they'll pay for that, and they'll go and do it. And it's winning. You go to a marathon, you know what the race course is going to be, and people will show up and do that. It allows for people to show up and be competitive. You can still keep the unknown and unknowable at a regional level or at a games level, and you can bring that back. But to the athletes' standpoint, and I've talked with quite a few high-level athletes, and what they say is it hurts them because then they run a greater risk of injury and or unfortunate death, so that there's a huge risk there. And so if some of that stuff is known in advance, they can take better, steps in preparation to be a better athlete, to know it's coming. And that has been an ongoing complaint from some of the athletes for years. But I think that it has its place, but I think we should change it.
It is a point of difference in the sport of CrossFit that we have this claim to the unknown and unknowable. It's almost like one of the pillars that CrossFit is built upon. The hopper type. Pull out the workouts, pull out the reps, pull out the time domains, and who's the best. So it does. I suppose that is one of the underpinning factors that distinguishes CrossFit from decathlon. Okay, so decathlon would be probably a similar type of functional fitness, event that's at the Olympics or whatever summer Olympics, but you know exactly what is going to be demanded of you on the day, and you can train for that. So it's something that would be difficult to let go of, as a CrossFit, as a CrossFit, as a representation of CrossFit. But yeah, I think there would be people that like to know, and but like, do you not think that when you go to the games, it's nice, as you said, the games and regionals, but maintain that unknown and unknowable, but from a week to week thing, like we can see our programming a week in advance or 2 weeks. Is it, Anthony? We can see 2 weeks in advance.
It's about 2 weeks in advance, but you only look at it the day of, right?
I look at it on the morning of. I wake up and have my coffee, and I look at the workout on the day of the workout, because I love that. And I think there'd be a lot of people in my camp too. I don't know whether it would be 50-50, but probably biased towards more people loving the fact that they don't know what they're going to do. I don't know. What do you think?
I think, like, personally, like, I think there's probably an area of maybe kind of using both those strategies, right? So maybe if you understood the potential movements that were going to be in the open, for example, but you didn't know the time domains or the rep scheme. So you had the ability to kind of practice the movements and kind of work to that. So that kind of prevents that injury kind of issue. But then you've still got the unknowable, and you've also got because, like, I mean, the open has become a little bit predictable. I think this was the first year that we didn't see double unders, right? So everybody knows every year they're practicing double unders, and then people are practicing bar muscle ups because they're expecting one of those types of things to be in the workout. So, I mean, snatches, the dumbbell snatches have been in the workouts for a very long time. Like there is a consistent number of moves, but if they just came out a little bit more openly and said, well, this is the package of movements that could be in the open, maybe that's gonna and then take your point, Drew, of being able to that allows people to still plan, but on the day they get the surprise. Because I mean, personally, I love getting up, because we have to get up really early and watch the open announcements, Drew. So, but Dave and I are pretty tragic. So, we'll be up at 5 a.m. and looking at what's the movements, and then posting to each other and going, what the hell is that? How are you going to do that? What's the approach? So, I think that's part of the excitement for CrossFitters as well. So, yeah, I think you could probably do both though.
I think that there's a really great place to live in the balance. And I think that what you said is saying, all right, here's the time domain, and here are all of the movements. Still don't know what you're going to do yet, Ooh, what's the heavy going to be? I don't know. Is there and I think that there has to be like a heavy component, because there hasn't been a heavy component. There wasn't one this year.
Not till semis.
Yeah, right. And
even barbells.
And then even some of the people who are saying that because even quarterfinals wasn't all that heavy. And so I think that you could have some really unique things that would still be there. But as soon as you have one open workout on a weekend, then it just is released to everybody. And so that's where I find it to be really kind of hard to, it's got to be known in advance if you're going to have in-person workouts. Because I mean, all the regional workouts were all released in advance, and then they didn't get a chance to go and compete anywhere else, but all the athletes knew, and they got to practice them and do all those things, and that still happens even with some of the games workouts. So I like the unknowable is, I mean, where in life, okay, do we get unknown and unknowable?
I guess
Where?
it depends on your life. It depends on your life, Drew.
Right.
Because, but you want to be prepared for that, right? So you want to be. I guess that's the overall concept that we're trying to do. Is it's
Well,
going. Oh, okay. Oh, you need to go and do something that you've never done.
life
You
is
need to
about
lift something.
life's a balance of that unknown and unknowable as well. Like you want to keep things as controlled as possible, but also you don't know whether you're going to get sick. You don't know whether you're going to fall pregnant. You don't know whether you're going to get fired. So there
Hmm.
is an element that stimulates life with unknown and unknowable, but that doesn't mean that we don't try to control things as much as possible.
Sure. My way of thinking about it is, if you were to have the unknown and unknowable, once you release that workout one time, somebody has until Monday to redo it, or whatever day that is for you guys. Was that Tuesday?
Tuesday morning.
Yep.
Tuesday
So
morning, 5
you
a.m.
have until that day and time to redo it. Once you redo it, you already know that what it's going to be like. So it's removed that entire stigma from it, and now you know what it feels like. If it
Yep.
was, if unknown and unknowable was truly real, you would only get to do it one time, and you had to sign off. And as soon as you signed off on it, it's done.
It's done.
Like,
But what you don't know is what it's going to be like having just done 4 workouts and then the redo. And then
sure,
and then
yeah. I mean, like,
Dave does this
and then
regularly,
the
Drew.
knowable,
Dave's one of those
knowable,
people that does it multiple times until he's happy with the
the
score.
knowable part is that it's going to come from the bag of functional movement tricks.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which we kind of practice day in, day out for 365 days a year. And we know that Castro is going to pull out something that's from that bag of tricks with some variations. Like even like this year when we had to walk over the box carrying the med ball, it was still within the bag of tricks of functional movement. So it was not. But Drew, more to the point of this, the high rocks and the CrossFit charges, like, is that a comparison that's a bit difficult to make? Like, does CrossFit really care what High Rocks makes? I mean, they are almost like, does CrossFit care that the NFL or the Major League Baseball or the PGA makes billions of dollars a year? Because it's a different business model. Like, is that a fair comparison to say that CrossFit charges $20 and High Rocks and Xenom will charge hundreds of dollars? Are they different business models that are not really comparable? Like, it's like saying, like, do you like coffee and I like tea? But okay, that's cool. It doesn't mean coffee's better than tea.
Sure does.
Yeah, absolutely it does.
as he drinks his coffee.
I like coffee in the morning and I like tea at night.
I believe that they're very, very similar, but the reason why that it should matter is from a private equity standpoint. And if private equity was not involved in CrossFit and some, Anthony and Dave owned CrossFit, it would not matter at all. But the moment that private equity came into the picture, that has to now become part of the equation that has to be solved for, because they want to know, am I making money? And the answer is no, you're not making money, because you're missing affiliates. Your registration for the open is down. You don't have education going on anymore. So, and people are signing up less for level 1s. So that's why they brought in this new way to become an L3 and L4. So they got to make the money somehow. So that's where I'm coming from, is that, like, if private equity is the world that we live in right now, then find a way to make it make sense to where that they would go, oh, this is worth holding on for. And we'll keep these guys around, because I think that once you have these players that are now controlling the business, there has to be something that is either good to keep them around or a way to offload it, or a way to sell it. And it's something's got to give.
Mhm.
I think there's. Do you think High Rocks came out of the fact that CrossFit kind of missed a trick? So like, I mean, you in that. I have listened to your theology of the Christian factions of CrossFit and what your thoughts were around that. But do you think that is exactly kind of what's happened? Whereas if CrossFit was meeting those demands, we wouldn't even have High Rocks because people would have been satisfied with what they were getting.
I mean, yes. I think if CrossFit would have still kept going in the trajectory that it was from like 18 on, man, maybe they change. You know, maybe High Rocks doesn't come into the scene. Maybe it doesn't have the success. But I do know that High Rocks stemmed from people who used to be a part of, at least in America, the Spartan races.
Oh,
And
yeah.
some of the people that were involved in Spartan races moved over to High Rocks and helped them launch that here in America. And I think that they knew on how to do that very well. And Spartan had their time in the sun here in America, and it's still going. It's just not as many people, and there's not as many people doing it, and that's what has happened now with CrossFit, is that there's still going, just not as many people are doing it.
I mean,
So do you
maybe
see
CrossFit has. Sorry, Keegan.
High Rocks though as essentially they're here to stay, or are they going to go through something similar to like Spartan in America? Do you think they're just a flash in the pan, and whereas like CrossFit is kind of the resilient, even though it's kind of going ups and downs, it's the steady ship?
It all depends on the shoes. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, the brand,
Yeah.
the
So
the shoes.
Puma and Adidas have dropped so much money into the development of these hybrid racing shoes. History has a way of repeating itself. Okay. So if we look back, when did the Nanos come out? 2011, 2012? Okay.
Oh, Nano 2s, yeah.
About 2012, I believe, is when it came
Nanos
out.
2s, yeah. I've had every one of them.
So the Nano 1 was 2012, and in the yellow, the red, the black, and gray, like
Custom.
And then there was
Custom, yeah, individualized.
Yep. And so those were so great. And that was what really put CrossFit on the map, was their sponsorship and partnership with Reebok. So now High Rocks has just now got to that. So they have Puma and Adidas. Puma's the main thing, but Adidas went full in on it and has this shoe that is pretty incredible. And then they've spent a lot of money bringing in all these, influencers and athletes on that. And so they're going all in on it to compete against Puma. So you just follow where the money's going, and the money's in the shoes. And so if you play that out and you say, when did Reebok leave? Reebok left in 2020. Then you've got 8 more years, right? 8, 9 years out of this, from the release of this Puma shoe, or they sell it.
Platform too, though. Like they Adidas is still a CrossFit shoe, and Nike Metcons is still a CrossFit shoe, and I'm sure people will buy Pumas to do CrossFit as well.
I haven't seen a Puma CrossFit shoe, but like the Adidas one, it took them years to get that one right, because they were ugly. They were just so bad.
Is that the drop set one? The drop set 4?
Yeah, now drop set 4 is their best one that they've released.
Yeah.
I mean, High Rocks, yes, there's a money. It's a great business model at the moment. I think from a novel, it's almost like a little bit of a novelty though. You'll do it once or twice. It'd be nice to see stats on normal, not competitive athletes like Hunter McIntyre and those guys.
Mhm.
Um, non-professional, RX type athletes like Anthony and myself, who how many times would you do a high rocks? Like I wouldn't mind doing a high rocks, but for me, it would be a novelty. Like I'll do it for fun, and I'll do it once. Just like I've done the Gold Coast Marathon, and just like I've done the one marathon. I've done Tough Mudder. It was fun. I did it but I'm not gonna. It's not a lifestyle, and CrossFit is more of a lifestyle that they're selling. That's why I mentioned before that it's comparing two very different things, and none of those other sports, Xenom, World Fitness Project, High Rocks, F45, Orange Theory, none of those have the most golden thing that crowns the fittest on earth. Just to back that up as that distinguishes CrossFit. And I think comparing the money and the ledgers, which is what you were coming from, you've got to worry about the money as an accountant, but maybe that's kind of the ceiling of what CrossFit can make, as a business. And you just, the CEO and HQ and the corporate investors, BlackRock or whoever they are, maybe they have to accept that this is the peak of the business model. Maybe you can go up and down a little bit, but like, why is that not? That's not necessarily unreasonable or irrational to say that if I own a medical practice and I do these many operations in a year, and I can only do 2 or 3 operations a week, and I can only see so many patients a week, my peak of earnings is going to hover around that. And maybe the peak of earnings for CrossFit is 10,000 affiliates, and maybe I can lace that up a little bit with a few extra nutrition certs. Is that irrational to look at it in that light, that that's the business model that we have?
That's a great question. And I think that in order to answer that intelligently, you'd have to have those numbers, right? Because otherwise you're just looking at, back of napkin math. And, to your point that, the High Rocks race is a, it's like a novel thing. And then you do it. And then when you do it, you're like, oh, I want to be better. Especially if you're competitive, right? You're like,
yeah. And then
okay,
I'll join a CrossFit box to get better at my High Rocks in 2 years' time, and I'll do it
yeah,
again.
So
easy. It's a bit of a boom or bust. It's a boom or bust. Like they'll get their big money here, but after a while, I just see it, because it doesn't have those real fundamental roots that kind of CrossFit does, as you mentioned. The transformative effects from a health perspective, chronic disease, crowning the fittest on earth, the unknown and unknowable. Those are roots that kind of keep CrossFit in the present, much more than this low barrier to entry, boom or bust type of business model that World Fitness Project has. Not World, the High Rocks and things like that.
But I think you've got to be careful, Dave, because the event potentially triggers the community and the gyms that then focus on that as a mechanism, right? So kind of CrossFit built the other way and built to the event, which was the CrossFit Games, the regionals, but this is going the other way. So it starts with the event and then drives down, and we're seeing that like in proven programming and all that sort of stuff. They've just incorporated it right now. So I don't think you can just ignore that fact. I don't think it is boom and bust, really, because it'd be interesting to also see is like how many people come back and do another High Rocks and do another High Rocks and do another High Rocks. Like, I do know people that continually map up.
Logically, if you don't have really solid roots and foundations of what you are as a business model, then that will fail. It will ultimately become boring. Just like Tough Mudder. There is no more Tough Mudder in Australia. Sure. There is no more Spartan racing. That's rare as chicken's teeth.
My wife's going to do the World Championships like today, Dave. It's not rare. Not in my.
compared to the heyday of obstacle course racing, but had a different OCR racing. It's really reduced. Whereas CrossFit has diminished for some reasons, but it's just, I feel as though it's got such solid foundations that because of those unique factors that it's probably, and it's proven it stood the test of time in terms of 20 years now, right? 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years for the games.
Yeah.
And to your point is that, well, both of your points, what you said is that CrossFit started from the methodology level and went this way. Because of the needs and the desires that the community wanted. The community wanted the games. They wanted to compete against each other. It was never intended for that to happen. High Rock started as a race and is now looking, and people were like, we went to a race because our athletes were doing it. My wife and I go there, and then they were launching their affiliates. They're like, hey, would you be interested in checking out being a High Rocks affiliate? And I was like, no, that's dumb. And I've literally said that. If you scroll down, I have shot arrows at that entire concept, that you don't need to have a High Rocks affiliation for $1,500 just to have people come and look for you. That is a marketing problem. So if you want to find people that want to do races, then market like, hey, if you'd like to get better at conditioning, if you have races that you want to do, here's how we do that. Come and do this 6-week, this 6-week conditioning course to prevent, or like conditioning race prep. Great. I don't need it to say High Rocks, because then when they come in and they meet with you in person and you sell them, then you could say, this is how we do this. What's your race that you're doing? Oh, you're going to do a High Rocks. Great. This is how we would do it. Then they stay.
Yes.
Then they follow the programming and they do that. I didn't do any High Rock specific training besides running more for my High Rocks. That's also, I weightlifted. I did Olympic weightlifting 3 days a week. And I would do conditioning work 3 days a week, and then placed at Worlds, and then did High Rocks the following weekend. Don't recommend it, but it didn't, because of being a CrossFitter for so long, it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. And so that is the, I strongly disagree with High Rocks affiliations. And I also have a really hard time in today's market with any affiliation, really. Because I just am not sure if the value and the return on an affiliation model works anymore. Because you can call yourselves a functional fitness gym and you can start that and do that. And if you know how to market and sell, then you'll be fine. But I don't know if affiliations work anymore. Franchise models work for some, not for all. Because F45 is getting absolutely hammered right now with their franchise models. They're going backwards. Orange Theory Fitness also going backwards. And so I think that there is something to be said about the micro gym, or the small boutique gyms that are worldwide right now. People aren't doing it in the same way. It's different. And so I think that is, if we can figure out how to handle that, then we can save CrossFit and we can see a rise in those things again. But I don't ever see myself not doing couplets, triplets, chippers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You use the word save there, Drew. Do you mean, would that be more precise to say we can make CrossFit better than it already is? Like we can get even more people in it, as opposed to saving it from sinking? Or do you see it's, is that right? When you say save, do you see it sinking, or do you mean we can make it even better?
My hope is to make it better. There is a phrase in America that I absolutely despise because I think it carries a certain connotation, but I don't want to say the word great again, because
make CrossFit great again.
red hat. MCTA.
It's red
Hey,
that
there's
has
the-
CrossFit across
that's,
the.
that's hey, there's the merchandise to sell on the .com page.
Oh
You
my
want to pump the
goodness!
bottom
And
line
they,
up.
and so
50% of
like
people would buy it. 50% of people would buy it.
they sure would. They sure would.
What is it? No,
And
hang
then
on, Drew. Isn't it like?
then you'll
Isn't it
isolate
53?
the other 50%.
Isn't it 53%? Well, you could make
Depends.
another hat for them. You can make a blue hat for those guys.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I don't. When I say saving, I mean that because of pure numbers that I've watched it go backwards in affiliations. And to watch 14 gyms down to 1 and it was where it was thriving. That's when I say saving, is because most people in other communities, other fitness communities, they think CrossFit's already dead. We know it's not, but that's why I use the word save. And that's also part of the reason why I haven't changed my bio in my Instagram, because I don't know what to say yet. Like what like all my content says one thing, but like my bio says, 25 years of holding, standards. Because that word choice is so important.
Absolutely.
Mm.
I mean, the fact that you've got an Instagram page, and the fact that Anthony and I here are doing this podcast with you, and thousands of other, amateur media content creators are talking about CrossFit, is a reflection of how amazing the methodology, which we call CrossFit, is.
Yeah.
CrossFit, it's almost like it's so powerful that they don't need, they do, but they don't need a media team. We are providing media free of charge.
That's what Greg
we're
wanted.
sitting here. Yeah, because it's so
That's
powerful, and we're passionate, and we, why do you need a media team? We're here at 6:00 in the morning doing a podcast with you in Pasadena. That's pretty unreal, right?
it is amazing, and that's what Greg was hoping for, was that like more media teams and other things would rise, and it would continue to tell the message, and it would provide jobs and do all these really unique and special things. But in today's day and age, you have to have a media team for your own company. That's what this podcast is for you guys,
Yeah, absolutely.
And so in the same way for my staff and my gym, like we have a media guy, and he makes all of our content, and I end up adjusting and creating things for him and saying, hey, let's use this message and say these things. And it's important that that's just the world that we live in, and needs to adjust and change. So yeah, I would love, but I would love for CrossFit to bring back their media team, because man,
yeah, that's cool.
It was so I was so proud, and whenever they would drop the new videos from the games, and you would watch it, like my wife and I would literally, we would order a pizza, and we'd sit there and we'd eat it, and we'd watch it as a family. And that was it was such a special time. And I loved all the YouTube videos and different things. And they're really trying. That's the thing that I will give CrossFit credit for right now, is that they are trying legitimately, and they want the narrative to change, and they need more positive voices out there than the negative ones. And that's why I'm trying to offer solutions, so that I'm not just a negative voice. Because if we can offer solutions, then something may be inspiring to Bruce, so he goes, hey, that's pretty cool. I like that. Take it, please. And somebody asked me, like, what's your hope with all this? I was like, that it just comes back better than ever. If
Impacts
we get
more people's lives.
Yeah, like 12,000 gyms, more people get to have their life changed, that we save people from dying, that's what this entire thing is about. And I want that to return.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. All right, but we got to ask you one
Yeah.
controversial question. Here comes the controversial question. I did see your post on overhead squats don't have a place. So tell us, Drew. Give us your side, because we probably got a different we've got a
Overhead,
different view.
it was specifically, what was it? It was overhead squats in group classes.
That is
In
correct.
a group setting, not in the level 1 or level 2 or in competitive competition, but in group classes. So you mean in your average CrossFit WOD?
Yep.
Class WOD.
Yep. So that is my personal opinion. And my wife, who is an Olympic weightlifter and she's better than I am, completely disagrees with me all the time. And she says, if we remove this, you are biasing your programming. And you don't have a full spectrum of fitness. And I said, yes, you are absolutely right. I stand by the camp that you don't necessarily need to be able to have an overhead squat to be able to help somebody improve on squatting patterns. So you can get the stimulus by having a front squat and, a strict press or some overhead stimulus or, an overhead carry if you want.
But isn't it something you think we should work towards? Like, for example, like my overhead squat, for example, was terrible when I first started CrossFit. Didn't have the mobility. I've got a little bit more mobility. I've got a little bit more. And if I warm up for like 40 minutes, I'll be able to kind of slowly get closer to the depth. But I actually love the movement because it's a dialed in movement that I'm working towards, because I know that I've got to work really hard and concentrate really hard to hit an overhead squat. Like it's not something easy for me, and that's the whole reason I love doing it, right? Not because, but if I kind of if it wasn't in the toolbox and I never had to kind of do it, I wouldn't even think about it, right?
For sure. And that is my wife's, disposition on that as well. Like, it should be something that we work on. Now, we do sprinkle it in warm-ups. We sprinkle it with a PVC. We sprinkle it with an empty barbell when we're warming up because we still power snatch. And so like there are components of it, but we're, yes, thank you. So I'm with you guys on that it is, there has its place. And because of the comments that have came back at me, and I was like, I put in the comments like, hey, I'm here to have a conversation. Please don't call me names and all of these things. Because some people like were really offended by what I said and hurt.
It's the day and age, Drew. If you have an opinion,
I know, right?
And I don't agree with it, then we're gonna have war.
Yeah, and so that was what happened, and it caused me to think all weekend. And I really enjoyed like having that entire thought process come.
Overhead squats don't belong in a group class setting.
Sorry.
I said that to a CrossFit Flow Master at my level 2 to his face in our breakout group. His name was and he pushed back so hard because the overhead squat is one of the 9 foundational movements of CrossFit, and cutting it is sacrilege. But here's a problem with that argument. People are not a one-size-fits-all. They have pre-existing conditions, old injuries from a car accident, an elbow dislocated when they were a child that was never addressed, hips that are so limited in range of motion from 30 years at a desk job. They don't come in as athletes. And giving someone a movement their body isn't ready.
So you're coming at it more, Drew, from a injury prevention sort of concern with the overhead squat.
I want people to have the best possible usage of 1 hour, because they may only come in 3 times that week. Is an overhead squat the best usage of their time for that 1 hour? If they're coming in 5 times a week, And CrossFit is like, they absolutely love it, and they want to get better at it, and there's practice there, then yeah, we can put that in there. But is that the best usage of their time for that 1 hour, for the 3 times, or if we're lucky, they come in, and then that doesn't, what happens if they slept poorly, or they had a fight, or the stress is high, or they were in surgery for 12 hours that they only anticipated to be in, for 8. Whatever that may be, the stress for them. And then you have to come in, and it's like, we got overhead squats today. It's a 3-rep max. Like, for what? So
But that applies to anything, though, doesn't it? Like, your biomechanics is the base, and everything. It could say it was thrusters and they weren't doing thrusters properly. You would then modify for that person, but it doesn't mean you would then post and say, oh, there's no place for thrusters in the group setting.
Yeah, for sure. And that is where a lot of my beliefs on this matter stem from a certification that I got through Active Life. They're a company that worked with a lot of games athletes back in the day. And I just saw a lot of things from shoulder injuries. A lot, when we were overhead squatting and snatching, full snatch, and we just had a lot of injuries. And so I was like, what, let me take out the things that are not helping us, and build some better movement patterns in there, and then come back. But the one thing that we ended up saying to our members is like, hey, we're not going to do this. We're still going to do it with PVC pipe. We'll do this with, warm-ups and things like that. But as of right now, it's not going to be on the table. Nobody complained. Nobody was like, that's it, I'm leaving, and so they trust me. They know that I have the best intent for them, so that they can have the best results possible.
So you're still doing it with a PVC pipe and all that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. But guess what?
Because I think that's awesome, right? Because that's the movement, right? Whether you do it with weight or whether you do it, with a stick, like, you're still getting that movement and learning that mechanism in your body to be able to do that.
There are plenty of applications that can still be presented in a way that would be effective. And I just don't see Nancy being done for group anymore the way that I did when I was a younger coach. Man, because I'll tell you what, when I was like in the first 5 years of my affiliate, full game, everything was full game all the time. I can coach anything and everything. Just give me an opportunity with somebody, and I can get them there.
Yeah.
And then I got older, and things started to adapt and change, and my opinion started to change on that. But you guys hear it first, okay? Since you brought me on, I'll leave you with this nugget.
Okay.
We are going to bring overhead squats back for a cycle. And so we're going to do it with strength only, no Metcon. Don't need them to go fast. And we'll start everybody with, a reasonable rep range for them to work with. And we program in 3-week blocks. And so we'll be working on that for 3 weeks. And then just to expose everybody, say, hey, here's what we got. If you don't like it, you don't have to come on this day. But if you do want to learn, this is what we're going to expose you to. And it's going to be progression. It'll be a progression. Just because,
is your wife cheering in the background now? Is your wife cheering in the background?
She was cheering. She was cheering on the background from like when we discussed this, like over that weekend. Because like I don't want to be so bullish in my views and ideas, thinking that I'm not wrong. Yeah. I want to be open to the possibility of being wrong.
Everything needs to be contextualized, I think, Drew. Like, that's a lot of the times when people make comments or posts, the people reviewing those posts and commenting are not putting it into the right context. And it's you'll probably find that a lot of your members who have been doing modifications of the overhead squat, developing their posterior chain, developing their shoulder girdle stability, that they've been doing that, they're going to actually be better. It's going to not feel that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Yep.
you've progressed your athletes with regression for progression. That's a fairly classic fundamental principle. But you know, it's nice to be able to progress, and then they go from an empty barbell, and now we slide a few plates on, and then 6 months time when you do the cycle again, the 3-week cycle, oh shit, I'm actually now doing nice full depth overhead squats with a little bit of load on. Before I was just doing behind the neck press or something like that.
Yeah,
regression.
that's it.
Okay, Eric. Hey, we've been talking for a long time. What else have you got on today?
For me?
Yeah, Drew, what else is on your cards?
Are you coaching today?
I am not. So Tuesday, Thursday, I don't coach, but Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I do coach. I coach semi-privates only. I don't coach group classes anymore. So semi-privates are they're all seniors. So like 60 plus. That I have an 87-year-old woman that's going to be joining us.
Awesome.
She's signing up on.
Is that the oldest in your membership?
She'll be the oldest one. She will be the oldest person that I have ever coached.
Wow.
Awesome.
Wow.
So
we have a rule that when you turn 90, you get free lifetime membership.
I'll take that bet, right?
Guess what? We have 2 members who are in that category. And
That's incredible.
I am scared shitless of one day when they because they tell me all the time, we want to die in your gym, David. We want to die in your gym. And I said, please not. There's going to be so much paperwork.
Yeah, I don't recommend that. As somebody who's had somebody die in their gym, I don't recommend that.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's
a story. That's a story for when we get you back again, Drew.
That's we'll leave them with a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
so.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Drew. There wasn't anything else that you desperately wanted to get off your chest for the show. You happy?
No, I didn't have anything else. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's been a pleasure, and nice to talk to some Aussies, and my wife.
Yeah, you got to subscribe. You got to subscribe to us now, Drew. So
I know, right? Now it's
you got to listen to some of our other podcasts. So what were you saying? Sorry about your wife.
But my wife is a big fan of Australia, so she's
come and visit.
Yeah, it would be great.
Come visit. Come and throw down at CrossFit Neuro, mate. Come and do a class.
That'd be fun.
We're on the east coast, which is nice. Don't even bother going to the west coast. It's just like a big desert. Well, most of Australia is a big desert.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Australia is a desert. But the coastal regions are beautiful on the east coast, so come and visit us. We have an Instagram page as well, which will take some outtakes, or not outtakes, but like little cuts from today's show, and we'll put them on our Instagram page. So please follow that one and share with your members. I think we've been going for over a year now, and we've got some great guests. And admittedly, we're very slow and small, but it's growing all the time. But I think we've got lots of value to add with guests like yourself, Drew.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, and we'll definitely do that. And slow and steady wins the race. We had a podcast that I was running in 2019, and then we stopped in 2020. We got like 20 some episodes in, and then COVID happened, and I was like, nobody's listening anymore because nobody was driving to work. And I was like, so we just stopped, and then I never resurrected it. So that's why I have all this fancy stuff.
Yeah,
it looks good, man.
Again.
So.
And it's not just about the listeners. Like Anthony and I do it because we just love talking to people like yourself. So we get a kick out of it.
And I absolutely love your content, Drew. So just I'm glad you're like a positive force, I think, in the CrossFit community. I think it's fantastic that you're out there, because even some of the media at the moment with the infighting that I'm hearing, I shake my head at it. I'm like, can't we just like, I feel like we're on an up as CrossFit, but then we have all this ridiculous craziness going on, and I'm just like, can we promote what this is about? And I love
Yeah.
your message. I love your messages about, you know, the people in the community and the, you know, the older athlete and the people that are doing movements for the very first time that you know you put on your stories. Like that's what CrossFit's about to me. So I love that you keep posting that sort of stuff.
Will do. You know, it's been really powerful. I'll leave you guys with this, is that some of the DMs that I've received of people going, I'm new, like only like a year, 2 years, 6 months, whatever it is, but it has radically changed my life and I am with you. I just want this thing to last forever because of what it has done for me and how it's changed my life and all. And like, that's the stories that we need to tell, you know?
Yeah,
Those are the stories that
absolutely.
we need to tell. The games are cool, but that's just the proof of what we can do.
Yeah,
So
100%.
Okay,
All right.
thank
Drew,
you guys.
we'll take you off
Get back
stage.
to your
I'm
day.
sure we'll meet. Hey, Drew, are you going to the games? Are you going to San Jose?
I am going to the games.
I'll see you there. I'll see you there. I'll be
Are
there.
you going to the affiliate thing before?
Is it in? I think we're going to be there sort of just before the start of the individual elite. So I don't know what the schedule is.
So
We're not going to be able to
Wednesday and
see any of the
Thursday.
teams. Yes.
Wednesday and Thursday, there's an affiliate meeting.
Okay.
So there's
Wednesday,
a
Thursday.
special
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
for
Okay.
just for affiliates and coaching. So I'll be going to that, and I'll be at the
Okay.
games as
I'll
well.
try to
So
get there. I'll try to
yeah,
get there. We're going to be there. We're there for 10 days, but we don't actually get to San Jose till the day before, I believe, the individual elites start.
okay,
So I'll hunt you down.
sounds great. Can't wait.
Superb. Okay, mate.
Nice to
Take
meet you
care.
then. All right, bye guys.
Bye bye.
All right. See you later, Drew.
Great chat with Drew. What a dude. Love this. I love talking to these people. They're all out there. They're all out there, and we get to talk to them.
I know. It's
How
cool.
cool.
Like
How cool.
he's got some great ideas, I think. Things that can be like shaped and shifted, and fantastic that the CEO is out listening to people like him as well, you know. So 'cause you want
Yeah.
people that are passionate about it, and
Yep.
I think he's got a different perspective, right? So he's passionate, but he also realizes that it's a business. So how do you
Yeah.
balance both?
Yeah. But
So
did you agree with my thoughts there that every business kind of has a bit of a ceiling to how much it can earn? And I know corporates just want to earn more and more and more and more, and then they ditch it when it's
that's
sort
when
of
you diversify, right? That's when you try and
yeah.
create different streams.
Diversity isn't always good though. Like, you've got your core, we could
Well,
probably earn
that's if
more
it
money. We
waters
could
it
we could
down,
earn more
right?
money by putting a fit aid fridge in the gym. But that's diversifying and we might earn a few extra $1,000. But like, is that something that we want to do? It's sort of moving away from our core values and our modus operandi, our business model.
But for
We
you,
don't do it for the sake.
absolutely, that would not be the
Mm,
right thing to put in. But,
mm.
you know, something, I don't know, a meat producer being sponsored,
Yeah.
you know, by
Well, if
CrossFit
I had
Neuro
a if I
would
had a
be
butcher,
absolutely
we could have put like Butcher's Corner for your carnivore grade, 6 Wagyu,
100%.
because that's
So
that's supporting our business model, nutrition.
I think, but that's
Fantastic.
where you get that personalization of the brand for the individual CrossFit gym, right? So
Yeah.
obviously, you know, your Torians and all that sort of stuff probably do have a fit aids because
Yeah.
their
Yeah. Yeah.
their clientele is different, right? So
Mm,
the methodology is the same, but the clientele is different.
mm,
So, but I
yeah.
think you should
But
be able to grow
even
it.
those
Like I
even
hope it
those
doesn't
will.
have a ceiling, right? Because I feel like, you know, I was thinking about it in the context of what he said, but I was thinking a lot of these things probably wouldn't exist if CrossFit had filled the hole
Mm,
for what these people were
mm.
searching for. Because brands
Absolutely.
need to continue to reinvent themselves, you know, like
Yeah.
keep your core principles, but keep growing. And
Yeah.
I just kind of disagree with you, Dave. I hope it doesn't have a ceiling because more people should be doing it.
Yeah.
More people can do
Yeah.
it. More
I mean,
people
obviously,
can value from it.
there's no ceiling if you keep growing affiliates, but within the pool of the fitness industry, there's always going to be this ratio of people that are CrossFit affiliates, people that are High Rocks affiliates, people that just want to do, Globo Gym. that sort of those ratios will kind of start. And maybe High Rocks will do something like, oh, okay, our numbers are dropping off. Guess what? We're going to change the 8 stations, and then suddenly they have a kettlebell station, and then they get a bit of a stimulus again. So yeah, you have to be creative in business, and for all private business owners, they know what that's like. Being creative, you've got to. Okay, mate,
100%.
I've got to
So,
get ready for work. It's 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. here.
well, you only coughed like twice during that, so it seems like you're not too bad.
Yeah. Okay. Before I just get back onto my mask, I will see you maybe tonight, but I'm going to have a day off training today.
Good idea. All right, mate.
Okay, buddy.
See you
Bye, mate.
later.